Can Joe Adell finally live up to the hype? Who is AJ Smith Shawver? Join us for a gripping episode where we provide you with the best must-add players heading into the weekend on this action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my co-host, my brother, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane.
Yo, what's up, guys? You ready for a good amount of names today? I promise.
As always, you can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. If you're listening on one like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on the old YouTubes, please be sure to hit the little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel, also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And once again, if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like and comment because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. Today's episode is brought to you by birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Locked On Fantasy Baseball fans, we have a fully loaded episode for you today. As always, let us be your team secret weapon as we provide you with must-add waiver wire players heading into the weekend. And Matt, I think another pretty big name got called up, and I think we're starting with him. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, let's see what's up. Let's talk about Mr. Joe Adell. I feel like this is the year for redemption for a lot of these players that kind of flopped over the last couple of years. Kelnick, now Joe Adell. Who's next? I mean, let's see. I like what Joe Adell has done in the minors. We've talked about him like last week or the week before, and he's proven to be doing something right, and I like it, right? Whatever he did to fix his swing, it looks like it's the right move because right now on the year he has 41 runs, 12 doubles, 18 home runs, 43 ribs, 26 walks to 71 strikeouts. But that part really isn't worrying me because, he's a new age, base batting average guy. And he's got a 278 batting average in the minors. Now let's see what he could do. I mean, Angels need to make a push. If they want to keep Ohtani, they want to make Trout happy. Like there's a lot of incentive for Joe Adell to do good. And for them to get on the right path. So let's see what happens. Realistically, what I think is going to come from Joe Adell is we're going to see about a 250 batting average if he hits. If not, we may just see exactly what we've seen every time he comes up to the big, like a scared little kitty cat getting run back to the minor leagues. We shall see. But with Joe Adell, this is what I could see on his upside, what I could see his performance moving forward if he does hit. 250 batting average. He's going to hit you a good amount of power. Going to get you runs and ribbies. I don't know the exact numbers for final of the year, but I would say he's going to be nearly a 5-category contributor because my guy can at least chip in 4 stolen bases on the year. So he'll be able to give you a little chip in and get a little boost to possibly win you the week, in the next couple of weeks. Joe Adell will be a great add, and I definitely think you should consider adding him if you haven't already.
Yeah, Joe Adell's only 3% owned on Yahoo right now. That's going to be at least 30, 40 by, tomorrow, the next day. And those stats that Matt read off, the 18 bombs, the 4 steals, the good counting stats, it's only in 55 games, 209 at-bats. So Joe Adell's getting it done. He's still only 24 years old. I think there's a lot of fatigue with Joe Adell right now. We forget that he's still very young. There's been a lot of prospects this year it's getting called up, that are younger. That are a little older than him too. So let's give Joe Adell a little bit of break at 24 years old. Very, very highly touted prospect. He's 6'3", 215. He's got that man body. Kelnick's been playing better this year. I think Joe Adell has the chance to, be better. If you missed out on an Ellie De La Cruz, from the last couple of days, I think you should give Joe Adell the shot and see where things go. The worst case scenario is, you picked him up for pretty much nothing. And, the upside is through the roof because we all know that Joe Adell, when he was coming up, I believe, you could fact check me on this one. He was, if not the number 1 prospect at one point, he was very, very close, like top 3 prospect at one point.
Yep.
So give Joe Adell the chance. As we move on to our next player here, though, let's talk about somebody that's been red hot. Jake McCarthy, man. Jake McCarthy gets sent down, and then you know what? They called the Diamondbacks call him back up, and he's just been on fire lately. I believe he has I'm going to double check this, but I think it's 10 steals since he got called back up, and it's only been a few games. As I pull up his numbers here over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, the last 2 weeks for Jake McCarthy, he's 9 for 31, 3 runs, no homers, 3 RBIs, 10 steals, batting .290. So, hey, you know what? If you did pick him up, at least you're getting steals and batting average. I think the counting stats will come because you know what? He's been hitting 9th. So I think the runs will come. Top of that, Diamond's back lineup is pretty formidable. You got Walker and Carroll and, Perdomo, who's actually been on fire lately. So actually been on fire all year, Perdomo. So let me not understate that. And Jake McCarthy's getting up higher owned, 57% owned. He's under that 60% that we try and stay at. So he's out there in almost half of Yahoo leagues. I think he's worth the shot. We all know what he did last year down the stretch. He was a league winner in a lot of leagues, especially in that steals category where he finished last year with how many steals was it? It was 23 steals in 99 games. So the speed is legit for Jake McCarthy. Batting average might not hold at that 290. If he hits 250, 260, that's not horrible. And as I mentioned already, the counting stats could be there for Jake McCarthy. Definitely think he's worth an ed, especially if you need speed.
Yeah, I mean, at 57% owned, if you need the speed, I'd go for it and not the video game. But, great take, Dom. I'm not going to, go in here and reiterate everything you said, so I'm just going to move on here. Let's talk about Mr. McLain, Mr. Matt McLain. All right, my favorite Christmas movie. Here we go. I love when we bring him up because I just, I'm just thinking yippee-ki-yay, mother, family friendly. Can't finish that statement, but you know where I'm going with if you know the famous line. But I feel like he's been doing that. My guy is batting about like 313 last week, 377 through 2 weeks. Through the 2 weeks too, he has 10 runs, he has a bomb, he has 5 ribs, a stolen base. Like he's performing. Now, he's not doing everything I'd want, right? Like last week, he didn't have a lot of counting stats outside of 4 runs and 2 ribs. I would have liked to see a stolen base in there, maybe like a couple more ribs. But batting average off the waiver wire is a must for me. And McLain is doing that. And on top of that, he's on a team that just got Ellie De La Cruz up. Hopefully we get to see, Strand come up. Hopefully the team starts rolling and grooving here. And we could start seeing a lot of production. This kid could get brought home. And we could see a lot of counting stats coming out of Matt McLain's back pocket here and being a relevant fantasy weapon for you. I really think you should scoop him up, especially as just a little replacement at shortstop. Shortstop has been weak this year, so definitely take a look at Matt McLain.
You know what? I don't know if I'm going to claim it yet, but I might have been wrong about McLain. I was kind of a little bit down on him when he first got called up. But he's proved me wrong so far with a 341 batting average. He's got 2 bombs, 10 RBI, 17 runs, only a steal. And it's funny because McLain was more known for his speed in the minors than his power. And, well, not that his power has been great, but, the batting average is there. I kind of would have thought, batting average would have been a little bit lower, more speed. And he's kind of just getting it done across, multiple different categories. Matt McLain is 58% owned, still out there in a lot of leagues. There's been a lot of injuries of late. We got Aaron Judge going down. We got pitchers coming up for you soon, with DeGrom going down, with Manoah getting sent down. So, we're trying to cover all our bases today for you on this episode. But McLain, definitely worth it. And as Matt said, shortstop has not been fantastic this year, with Trey Turner, and all the rest of them. Lindor's been a little bit down, a lot of guys like that. You get Matt McLain on your team and just see where things go. Before we move on, though, and talk about, we got Mitch Garver coming up. We have a young potential stud pitcher from the Braves coming up. And somebody might be an ace again. Somebody for the Boston Red Sox. They might officially be an ace again. But before we talk about them, today's episode is brought to you by the clothing company Bird Dogs. Looking for clothes that redefine comfort and style? Look no further than Bird Dogs. They've crafted the perfect blend of performance and fashion to bring you shorts, pants, and tops that will revolutionize your wardrobe. With stretchy fabric that makes your legs look great, they're not only stylish, but also comfier than any other shorts or pants you currently own. They give you the freedom to wear one pair of shorts or pants on the golf course, to a meeting, on a date, or even if you're just going to hang out with the boys. Bird Dogs just sent Matt and I some shorts, and we're absolutely obsessed with them, guys. I don't know. I keep telling you, Matt. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but every time I wear these shorts out, I'm getting so many compliments, and I had to go place another order with Bird Dogs. I can't deny it. They're a great company, make great clothes. And if you're interested in ordering some as well, go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. And when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. And as always, we want to thank our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Be sure to look out for a new episode tomorrow where we feature the best pitch and ditch arms going into the weekend, and we usually throw in a few two-start pitchers for the following week. And guys, real quick, we're very, very close to that 2,000 subscribers mark on YouTube, and we couldn't have done it without you. If you enjoy the show and want to help us out, please share the podcast with a few friends who also love fantasy baseball or baseball in general. We'd be truly, truly grateful for your support. Matt, my brother, that is enough for me, though. I think you should hop in here and grab the next guy for us.
That works for me. Let's talk about Mitch Garver. I was prompted up for our next guy, but, it's fine. I'll take it.
I apologize, brother.
It's all good. I should know. You get a little tired after you talk too much. I get it.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Sir.
It's a lot. You do a lot more than me, so I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think the people probably get tired of hearing my voice that much in a row.
Yeah, no, me too. All right. Enough joking around here. All right. Mitch Garver, catcher. Catcher's been pretty rough this year, and quite honestly, it's almost every year. That's like the understatement of the year. But yeah. Mitch Garver is right now, ride the wave kind of type dude. He's doing his thing. He's batting about 375 last week, and through 2 weeks, 375. He has 5 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs. These are nice numbers. You don't really get this kind of production out of your catching spot, your catcher, unless you have like a JT Realmuto. So Garver is hot right now. I see you ride the wave. You see where it takes you. Let's go on this journey, and we see how long Mitch Garver can be productive for you. And then once he starts falling off the rails, you drop him and move on to the next catcher that we bring up. It is what it is. You could stream this position because there's not really a lot of options out there that in the draft, we try and hope and pray that we're getting an influx of catching talent, but it's really just, it hasn't been productive in turning over in fantasy. So Mitch Garver right now is your light at the end of the tunnel for the next week or so. So just, scoop him up and see what you can do and manufacture that win with Mitch Garver.
I actually like Mitch Garver a lot. Maybe it's me thinking of, a few years back when he hit the 31 home runs, and, it could be wishful thinking. But when Mitch Garver's out there, yeah, I know. When Mitch Garver's out there, he gets it done. He's a very productive hitter. He's just been, as Matt would say, a flanges guy. If you're not familiar with the old flanges, you should be at this point, to be honest, unless you're a new listener, and we appreciate you tuning in. But when we talk about flanges here, it's just, a little thing Matt came up with, a funny little thing. We're talking about injury-prone guys. It's usually attached to a Mondesi or a Buxton or a Mitch Garver in this case. And like I said, flanges guy, he's usually hurt. But you know what? He has good plate discipline. He's got 3 home runs so far, 9 RBIs, 9 runs, 314 batting average over 10 games, 35 at-bats. So he's getting it done while he's out there. I think it's a juice to orange situation, as Matt said, if you have like an Alejandro Kirk or, underperforming catcher, or even 2 catcher leagues. Right now, Mitch Garver is only 15% owned. I know there's a lot more 2 catcher leagues out there. You pick Mitch Garver up, you ride the wave. That Texas lineup has been absolutely phenomenal this year. So Mitch Garver, sitting, he's been hitting 7th, but it's not horrible in that lineup. A lot of RBI potential, a lot of power, and he's actually a decent batting average guy over his career. He's a 250 batter for a catcher. Hey, that's pretty good. So give Mitch Garver a chance, especially if you're in a 2-catcher league or a deeper league. 15% owned on Yahoo. Cheap exposure to that Texas lineup. So let's talk about our next guy, though, and it's somebody I'm not really too excited about. I think it's more of a juice to orange type situation here, and it's LaMonte Wade Jr. of the San Francisco Giants. Now, LaMonte Wade Jr. is only 32% owned. Numbers on the year look pretty solid with the 31 runs, 8 homers, 19 RBIs, 2 steals, 285 batting average. I don't think he keeps this up the rest of the year, but he is eligible at first in outfield on Yahoo. He's been hitting leadoff pretty consistently here for San Francisco. So, you know what? I think he's worth a shot. He gets the Cubs up next, in his next few games. Cubs pitching isn't fantastic, especially with Justin Steele out. Think he could take advantage of it here. Not too much else I could say for LaMonte Wade Jr. He's kind of been around for a few years at this point. We've never seen anything spectacular from him. So that's why I'm thinking I don't really see it being a long-term thing here, especially with this minor league track record being, not impressive at all, to be honest with you. So you pick LaMonte Wade Jr. up, you juice the orange, you play him while he's hot, and then, he gets cold, somebody else gets hot. That we'll talk about here on the show eventually. You drop LaMonte Wade Jr. and you pick up the next guy. That's just my take on it.
Nah, and I mean, hey, that's the right way to approach LaMonte Wade Jr. It is what it is. But let's move on here. Great take, Dom. Let's talk about AJ Smith Shawver. My guy has been called for in our comments for, since we dropped the first waiver wire show earlier in the week. And I understand why. He's exciting. He went out. He performed in his 2 innings that he pitched out of the bullpen. And he's just an exciting prospect based off of what he did this year in the minors, right? He has a 109 ERA. He has 33 innings pitched. He has 45 Ks. And, I mean, the whip is under 1. I mean, it's nice numbers. But here's the thing, though. I'm not really excited for Shawver outside of the fact of what he did this year. If you look at his past in the last 2 years in 2022 and 2023, his ERA in 2022 was a 5.11, and in 2021 an 8.64. So his numbers really didn't scream off the page for me in terms of, hey, I need to go scoop up this kid. But his strikeout numbers look good because in 2022 he had 68 innings pitched to 103 strikeouts. Now that number is nice. So it seems like Shawver knows how to get bats to miss, or at least be able to strike people out and make the right decisions and get, good ball placement. It is what it is. Shawver has upside, and this is why I'm telling you to scoop him up. He has a nice fluffy matchup this weekend, hopefully against the Nats. So it's a great opportunity to scoop him up and see what we can get out of him. Long-term value, I'm not exactly sure. This is where I'm a little hesitant, and I want to see if he even stays in the rotation and they don't move him back to middle relief. So Shawver is kind of, let's wait and see. Let's roll him out this weekend because, again, it's the Nets and it's a fluffy matchup. But other than that, we're going to take it day by day, week by week with Shawver.
Matt, that's a phenomenal take on Shawver. I'm just going to give my little 2 cents in here, but I pretty much agree with everything that you said. His first outing, he went 2.1 innings. He didn't really induce a lot of swings and miss. From what I've heard, his stuff isn't overwhelming. It's decent. It's not bad stuff, but it's not overwhelming stuff where, somebody like that just came up like an Andrew Abbott who has who has pretty strong stuff. His breaking stuff is good. His Abbott's fastball isn't fast, but it's like a Joe Ryan fastball where it does have a lot of movement and it's deceptive. Unfortunately, I don't think Shawver has, the same quality of stuff. He's 37% owned on Yahoo, so you could definitely give him a chance. As Matt mentioned, that matchup is pretty good this weekend. He's not, he's not the top guy that we're going to talk about today, in my opinion. But we'll see where this thing goes. Braves are a good team. He can get wins. He also only threw 68 innings last year. So if he does stick in the rotation, I don't know how many they give him. But with that being said, we're going to move on to a few more guys, especially some good starting pitchers here. All right, guys. Thanks for, bearing through us with that break. And let's move on to somebody I'm super, super, super excited to talk about. And I don't know what you guys are doing because he's too lowly owned. It's big game James Paxton. And he's back, baby. Man, this guy has been phenomenal. I'm glad that I got my one share. I wish I had more shares of him, but I got my one share, and I'm going to ride the wave with him until, the wheels fall off at this point. How is James Paxton only 40% owned? It baffles my mind. Numbers on the year, pretty strong so far. 26 innings, 36 Ks, 3.81 ERA, 1.23 whip. They're actually deceptively high because it's only one bad game. It was one bad game against the Angels. Paxton is working his way back from, a few different injuries over the last few years. He is 34 years old, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack here. But it's 4 very, very good starts, 1 really bad start. If you take that 1 bad start out, the numbers will look absolutely ridiculous. Paxton, 2-start week next week. Looks like he gets Colorado on Monday. And where is that second one? Could be the Yanks, to be honest with you. Could be the Yanks or Minnesota. But, the Yankees matchup would be in Boston. So, he gets the home field advantage there. And Minnesota's good team, not a great team. So, either way, kind of like the 2-start week next week for James Paxton. The velocity's up. I think while he's, out there doing his thing, top 40, 45 starting pitcher while he's healthy. But you know what? The wheels can fall off in an instant with Paxton. So while he's out there, I think he just ride the wave. He should not be 40% owned on Yahoo. It should be around closer to 70, 80%, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the Paxton take. Good job. My guy just has phalanges like my grandmother. And, oh, my phalanges, something's going to go wrong. But until then, let's see what happens. Sorry, a dramatic effect, I guess. It was fun. But let's move on here. Great take, Dom. Let's talk about Mr. Domingo German here. You know what? He's going probably against Boston this weekend. He pitched on Monday against the Dodgers. Had a nice little outing, 6 Ks, a 1.35 ERA, a 0.75 WHIP. Went 6 innings deep. I like that. Got lit up a little bit by Seattle the week before, but then handled Toronto. Handled Tampa Bay, handled Cleveland. And you know what? At this point with German, I'm willing to just roll him out. Like, I think that's just pretty much it. I'm not going to say he's 100% matchup proof, but right now in this instance, the way he handled the Dodgers, I'm okay with rolling him out against Boston, especially going into the weekend. German can be guaranteed 5-6 Ks, and that can be the difference of winning the week. And him going into the weekend, if you're able to scoop him up, could be the difference of you manufacturing that win in that category this week. So I think Domingo German is 100% an ad for me this week. Not a must, but if you need to get that category taken care of, German might be your best shot.
Yeah, Matt, spot on here with Domingo German. The big thing with German was May 16th against Toronto. He only went 3 innings because the umpires came out there, and I believe the quote from one of them was, his hands were the stickiest I've ever felt any starting pitcher's hand. And he was using that spider tack or whatever he was using. They called him out on it, and that was it. Then his next start, he went out against Seattle, gave up a bunch of runs, only 4 strikeouts. He did go 6.1 innings and get the win, but he didn't look great. So then against the Dodgers, it's like, all right, is Domingo German legit or is he not legit? But he goes out against those Dodgers, throws almost 7 innings, gets the 6 Ks, and he looked really, really good. So I think, he shouldn't be 50% owned at this point, Domingo German. He should be closer to, once again, 60, 70% owned. Throw him out there against Boston, see how it goes. The numbers on the year are fantastic. So I think Domingo German's worth it. He's always had a lot of upside. He never really lived up to the hype. This looks like it's the year for him. So rock and roll with Domingo German and just see where things go. I think you need to have him on your team, especially if you have a starting pitcher at the end of your bench that you can live without. But let's move on to somebody else. Just on a bunch of under-owned starting pitchers, and it's bothering me a little bit, I'll be honest, because it's guys that we've talked about before. And somebody really like Tanner Bibee. Like, how is Tanner Bibee still only 54% owned? It's kind of ridiculous at this point. He's out there. He's throwing a pretty decent start so far today. He's given up a run. He's got 5 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts, a 1-2 whip so far today against Boston. That's through, like I said, I mentioned, 5 innings. His numbers on the year, not including today, 3.20 ERA, 1.12 whip, 39 innings, 40 Ks. So Tanner Bibee needs to be a lot owned. He's got good stuff, great minor league track record, a pretty decently touted prospect for Bibee. He's got that wicked breaking ball that they don't even really have a classification for, decent fastball. I just think, I've talked about Bibee enough at this point that just add him and see where this thing goes. I think, over the next few years, we could see a rise on him where he winds up being like, maybe top 30, top 25 starting pitcher in a couple of years. But right now, definitely have to have him on your fantasy team. He goes up against San Diego in his next outing. They don't hit righties well. Everyone on that team besides, Juan Soto hasn't been that great of late. Get Bibee out there for next week against San Diego.
Yeah, great take. I love Bibee. If he's not owned more, guys, you need to hop on it. I'm sorry, unless you're just in a league with a bunch of people that listen to this podcast, then you're kind of SOL. But I mean, we shall see what happens. I love Bibee, great talent. But let's move on. Let's get to our last guy here, and let's talk about Mr. Mike Clevinger, Mr. Phalanges himself. He's another one that's been hanging out with Alberto Mondesi and just loves to get hurt. But he's healthy and he does have talent. We all remember what Mike Clevinger used to be, and sometimes we see the old Mike Clevinger. It's like Jekyll and Hyde here. Sometimes he goes out and gets lit up, and sometimes he gives a moment of genius. And his last start against Detroit, which, I mean, that's the fluffiest matchup you can get this year. He had a nice outing, 5 innings, 6 Ks, no earned runs, a .8 whip. Goes out against Cleveland, who has been decent. Like, it's been a tougher matchup of the late. Got the win, went 6 innings, 5 Ks, 3 ERA with a 1.67 whip. That stat is a little high, but it is what it is. Kansas City knocked him around for about a 4.5. Cincinnati at Cincinnati, so I'm going to give that a break. 6 ERA, but then went out the week before and handled Tampa Bay really nicely. And here's the Jekyll part, right? 8 Ks, 3.6 ERA with a 1.6 whip. The whip has just been high this year. It is what it is. But I mean, quite honestly, one guy going 5-6 innings isn't going to completely mutilate your whip. But the potential of him going out there and give you 5-6 strikeouts, getting you a decent ERA and possibly the win is what I like. So Clevinger is somebody that's going up against Miami this weekend, which is a little bit safer too, with no Jazz in the lineup. Just Jesus Sanchez just being hot in that lineup, so he could kind of end Soler. So you can kind of pitch around those guys, and Mike Clevinger might be able to get the job done for you this weekend where, he turns out to be a really good start for you. So definitely check out Mike Clevinger.
Yeah, see, the thing is that stinks that Yankee game got postponed today, so it kind of pushes Clevinger up one day in the schedule. He would have had Miami in his next start if he did pitch today. He does, unfortunately, looks like he's going to get the Los Angeles Dodgers next time out. Not a great matchup, but you know what? Clevinger this year only really has 2-3 horrible starts, 7 pretty good starts. So that ratio is pretty good. The ERA and whip are a little deceiving in my opinion. As I mentioned, the Jekyll and Hyde of Clevinger this year has kind of been a little bit annoying. But, Clevinger is somebody that has elite talent. He's, shown us before. He's been like a top 10 pitcher before in the league. I think especially it's more of a deeper league play for Clevinger, as he's our last guy here that we're talking about. He's the last of this list. I would take everybody that we talked about already above Clevinger, but if somehow all of those guys are gone, Clevinger is only 19% on Yahoo, so it's a little bit of a deeper play. You might pick him up, and if you don't really need him for that start against the Dodgers, maybe throw him on the bench, see what happens. Hey, if it's a good one against the Dodgers, that kind of says a lot. Look, Domingo German, we just talked about, went out there and he was good last time against the Dodgers. So Mike Clevinger, a little bit of a deeper league play, kind of see where this thing goes. His numbers on the year aren't horrible, but like I said, 7 good starts this year, 3 bad ones. I'll take that ratio. But Matt, unless you got anything else for us and the fans, we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, sorry on the mistake of the matchup, guys. I forgot about Smokegate out here. We're kind of all smoked up and smoky here, like Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, I wish everyone the best out there. It's been really, really bad. If you're out here on the East Coast, I even know a little bit of the Central in the States have been getting it. And if you're out there in Canada, stay safe, stay inside, air purifier, all that fun stuff, and take care of yourself. Also, shout out to Ellie De La Cruz, hit his first big league home run today. Kid's going to be an absolute stud. But guys, that's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website if you already haven't. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Whether you're an everydayer or a new listener, we truly, truly appreciate you being a part of the Locked On Fantasy Baseball experience. And make sure you lock on for a new episode tomorrow, where we're providing you with must-add pitch and ditch arms heading into the weekend, and we usually throw in a few 2-star pitchers for the following week. So until then, see you.
Peace.